Today's woodworking project is going to be a little bit different. I'm going to be encouraging people to ditch the plastic and get back to more traditional wooden products. Let's face it, they look a million times better, and looked after properly, they'll last for years. I'm going to be using some reclaimed oak for this one, but use whatever you have available. I'm going to start off by trimming the ends and then cutting this board in half so that I can prepare it. It's in a bit of a state at the moment. This wood really is grotty, so definitely make sure if you're using something like this to put your mask on. I'm removing as much of the grime as I can from these boards with an old belt sander and some 80 grit sandpaper before I put them through the thicknesser. The finish on these floorboards is really hard and I don't want the extra wear and tear on the blades. I'm just running these boards through the table saw with the jointing jig to put a straight edge on. As you can see, the boards are quite bowed, so when we put them through the thicknesser, we're going to lose quite a lot of material. Once we get a straight edge using the jointing jig, we can then cut a parallel edge on the opposite side using the table saw fence. I'm going to cut out the bits that I won't be using. On this side, it's got a split, bit of resin on there, so I'm just going to do that quickly, and then we'll put it through the thicknesser. So where I've used the jointing jig, I've not got total alignment of the grooves. So I'm going to take a few mil off this side, a few mil off the board this side, try and get these grooves reasonably close. And then what I'll do is I'll use my 6mm grooving blade to clean up the grooves. It'll also realign them so that they're nice and level all the way around the inside, so they look like they're there on purpose. And it'll take away all this grime because it's just impossible to sand it away. But using the grooving blade, I can clean it all up and get a nice clean board. So now we're going to take the riving knife off and fit the grooving blade. Okay, so I've done a lot of this off camera. What I've done is I've widened the grooves where needed to get rid of the grime. And I've also put a deep groove in the bottom because that's going to take part of one of the boards like so. So what I need to do now is take the grooving blade out, put the normal blade in, and then we're going to cut some mitres. So both boards are now going to get a 45-degree edge, and it's going to be on the inside, so the short edge to the grooves. Okay, so what I've done is I've attached a piece of scrap wood to the mitre attachment for the table saw. I've run a test cut straight through, and what I'm going to do now, there's probably easier ways to do this, but this is the way I've done it. So I'm going to score a line across the top of the wood. I want 2 4-inch cuts and I want 2 8-inch cuts. I'm going to do the 4-inch first. So what I want to do is take the top of that line, and 4 inches is around about 100mm. So I'm going to put a stop block there. I'm just going to super glue a bit of scrap on. I'll come back and do that afterwards. All I do is super glue a bit of scrap wood on. All I'll do is super glue all I'll do is super glue a little bit of scrap wood onto there, and that'll be good to go. I'll do that off camera and then We'll come back.
Hopefully that gave you a bit of a laugh. Let me know in the comments if it did. Back to the build. I'm just cutting opposing 45-degree mitres, so groove side down.
So with them cut, we need to knock the block off. And accuracy on the initial measurement is not that important, but getting two very accurate cuts for what'll be the end pieces is important. So it's consistency rather than accuracy.
With the block taken off, we now need to swap the 45 degrees so they are short edge to the grooves again on both of the boards.
That's that done. Now I'm going to measure 8 inches across, doing exactly the same thing, taking the top mark and then measuring 8 inches back, 200 mil, and then putting a stop block there, and then we'll run those through, and that'll be the bones of it done. So all that's left to do now is to make the base, and it's basically a box without a lid. So I'm going to put, sorry, this is the piece I want as the base. I'm going to put that in there, not take it right to the end of the mitre, because I've got this groove. I don't know if you can see that. There's a groove there. So I'm going to take it just up and leave a little bit of space there, and then mark a similar gap to that on the other side. I want some room for it to move around, and I'm going to make that cut first.
As you can see, I've marked down the centre of one of the ridges. That's going to be plumb in the middle of the base. Here's a lovely shot of my shoulder before I realised that the mic's not on. This camera was for audio only. I had an above head shot showing all the taping up before gluing of the box. I'm going to skip this bit now and go straight to the next section.
Okay, so here we are. I suspect I'm going to have a few issues with the mitre joints. A couple of them look like they might have just slipped. But we'll take the tape off and find out. And there we have it, a really nice wooden utensil box made from reclaimed timber. I'm going to be making some hardwood utensils for this. If you want to do the same, check out a really good friend of mine, Ole, over at Ole Makes. The link's in the description. He shows you how to make some beautiful walnut ones. This build didn't quite go to plan. I made a really bad schoolboy error, and the blue tape that I'd put on the inside corners to avoid glue
A few moments later.
I made a schoolboy error. The blue tape that I put on the inside corners to avoid glue squeeze out becoming an issue once it's dried was a little bit too close to the mitres. So it got between the joints and has held the joints open slightly. They're solid, but they were slightly open. So the next few minutes of this video is detailing how I've closed them up and what I've done to make them look as good as they are. They're not perfect, but they're much, much better than they were when I took the tape off. Oh, that one's well open. And as you can see, it's a utensil holder. And that one's quite open too. So we're going to have to do some work on the joints. I think that's what I've managed to do, is get the painter's tape into the joints somehow, and that's held some of the joints open a bit.
So basically put some glue into the gaps, give it a quick sand to get some sawdust in there as well. Sorry if I sound out of breath all the way through this video. I'm struggling to breathe a bit. I think I'm coming down with a cold. Then use a stainless steel screwdriver to burnish over the edges and round them and pull them together. And the job's a good one. For another video on ideas to make things for around your home, check out the video top right.